Hi friends, Vika here. Today I'm going to be talking about the 3 books I've most recently read, which is One of Us is Lying by McManus, The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and A Curse So Dark and Lonely by Brigid, which I read on my Kindle as an ebook, kind of. Stay tuned for more. So I will talk about these books in this order, and I'll link into the description below at which times I'm going to talk about each of these books if you guys are just wanting to listen to my review and thoughts about a specific book in particular. So without further ado, let's talk about One of Us is Lying by McManus. So what One of Us is Lying by McManus is about is during detention there is a student who dies mysteriously, and all of the other students who were in detention at the time are all suspects in this murder. And so it's a YA mystery, and I gave this book 3 stars. I'll talk about why, but essentially this is a multi-perspective novel, so each of the suspects has their own point of view, and in my opinion, all of the voices were well developed, all of the characters had their own personality traits, and I didn't think the voices meshed and mixed how sometimes with YA, not with YA, but with multi-perspective novels, how multi-perspective novels, sometimes the voices blend and they're not very distinct, but I didn't find that the case with this one. So if you're hesitant to pick up this book because you're not really into multi-perspective, I didn't find that an issue. I thought the author did well with developing the characters. All of the characters had really good insights, and they had good growth, and they were just, I thought the characters were pretty well developed. However, I did find them kind of far-fetched at times, if that makes any sense. So this is set in high school, but I thought it was a bit extreme. All the students were extreme, and that's my thoughts on that. But other than that, I thought it was kind of predictable. I did see the end coming, but also what I didn't like about the end, it did seem rather rushed. Like towards the end it escalated rather quickly, which I didn't like. I felt like the author could have added maybe a few more pages, like maybe 50 more pages, not even 50, I felt like 20 would have done, and just to like slow it down a bit. So like I guess with mysteries, like the further you go along, the more more intense they get, and so I guess the author was trying to make that happen. Maybe that was my perspective, but it just felt kind of rushed to me. And so yeah, I gave it 3 stars. If you're into YA mysteries, this is one of the better ones, I feel like. Not everyone, I think, would see the ending coming. I kind of did. How she explains it, you're like, okay, yeah, that makes so much sense if you didn't see it coming. There is romance in here. So I don't know if you're really into romance. It's kind of a big part of it. I'm not gonna say between who or what. I thought it was a decent read. But like I said, some of the characters and situations did seem kind of extreme and unbelievable at times. I thought it was a decent YA mysteries though. There is room for improvement. I'm definitely gonna read her other book. 2 of us can keep a secret, I think, and see what I think of that, because I'm interested in reading more of her stuff, because as YA goes, this is one of the better ones I've read. So yeah, solid 3 stars. So next I'm going to talk about The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang, and I'm just going to say this right now. I absolutely loved and adored this book. I gave it 5 stars, and it was so beautiful. I thought it was so epic, and it took me a while to read this book, I'm not gonna lie, just because I had originally gotten it through my library as an audiobook. It was a 50-hour long audiobook, so this is not a short book by any means. I mean, like, this is almost 500 pages, over 500 pages, just like this floppy version of it, and it's filled pages. It's and pretty small font, so it's very dense. The book does take over a span of years, so it's a very slow build, lots of character development. But what this book is essentially about is about this orphan girl named Rin, and she tests, much to the dismay of everyone around her, tests into the most prestigious military academy in the land, in the empire, and it just follows her, and when she gets there, follows her journeys, follows her journey there and getting there, and just all the challenges she faces there. And all I've got to say, not all I've got to say, I got a lot to say, is that the character development and this world building were so insanely intricate, and like you really see Rin. She's such a flawed character and realistic and intense, and I loved it. Like, she's not necessarily an anti-hero, but she is a protagonist, and she's a good one because there's so much to her, there's so much depth, and it's not superficial, you know what I mean? And with this also, this story is actually based upon true events between China and Japan. So this takes place in China. She's I mean, it's not China in the book, but where she's studying at and where she is and her ethnicity is within China, essentially, present day China. And some events that like inspired that was like the rape of Nanking. So this is very much a war between China and Japan. So there are some trigger warnings based on that. So anything you can think of that comes with war, you know, like rape, violence, all of that, abuse, that's all in here. So if you are very sensitive to that kind of stuff, maybe don't read this. Do recommend this more towards an older audience. This is new adult, I think, not young adult for sure. But I just thought that the development and the world building and the characters, they were all so intricate, and there's also just, there is like a fantastical twist to all of this, of course. It's not just inspired by real events. It's also has fantastical elements, which I love, obviously. You guys know me at this point. And I thought the author just did a great job of making you feel emotions. And the book was just so raw and deep, and I just loved it, and I can't talk about it enough. And I feel like I didn't finish my thought. I got this from the library as an audiobook. It was 30 hours long. Didn't finish it within the time span I had it loaned out to me, and then it took a while for me to get my hands on this book, and then by the time I actually finished it, it took a minute. But this is one of my favorite recent reads. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I absolutely loved it. Absolutely recommend it if you're really into like it's not adventurous, but intricate, slow build, but yet exciting the entire time. Fantastical novels that aren't overly fantastical, but it's like a big element in development, but it's also based off of true events and lots of like Asian influence, culture inspired stuff. That is not the best description, but that's all I can say without revealing too much. And I cannot wait to read the second book, because just Rin is like, she's not necessarily a good person at all, and like all the characters too, they're not necessarily good people. It's just a good book because the author's just so good at writing, and it's so beautiful, and I just recommend it. Okay, we good. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but Ronnie's been here the entire time. Say hi, Ronnie. Yeah, he's napping, he's tired. So the last book, my last recent read is A Curse So Dark and Lonely. I read that on my Kindle as an ebook, kind of. So I got to page 138 and I DNF'd it. For those of you who don't know what DNF means, it means I did not finish. So I got to around like a third of the book at least. And what this book is, it's essentially a retelling of Beauty and the Beast in modern times, kind of, not exactly, because it's like a 2-dimension thing. So it's where like the girl lives in modern, in the modern essentially world we live in now, and then there's like a portal or whatever, and she gets flipped off to an alternate universe where there is a curse on this land and on this man who's the Beast. We all know story of Beauty and the Beast, and she's supposed to fix it and whatever. And I really don't like alternate realities and universe books. So that's probably one of my biggest barriers, just because I feel like it was sloppily and lazily done, in my opinion. No hate towards the author, but I just felt like this whole theme is completely overdone. I didn't like it, and just how it was done. I felt like the characters lacked dimension. So the main character, what was cool was she had cerebral palsy, or has cerebral palsy, which I had never seen represented in a book before, which was really cool, but I felt like that was the only interesting and in-depth thing about this character. And I love representation, but if what that person is representing is the only thing about her that makes them unique, it feels like a crutch sometimes to writers. For me as a reader, I feel like sometimes writers use like how they're representing a person as a crutch. So in this scenario, I felt like a lot of the characters and the world building was kind of lacking, in my opinion, and I'm trying to be really polite here, but because I just didn't like it, and I thought it was just, it's so overdone. Like, I even brought out 2 books that I thought followed the exact same cliche stereotype. So I got Hunted by Megan Spooner, which is also a retelling of Beauty and the Beast, and this is the only book from this series I could find on my bookshelf. But A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas, also a Beauty and the Beast retelling. And honestly, I was reading A Curse So Dark and Lonely in like the whole first bit, and I was like, and it just felt like I'd read this before, and I've read it 1,000 times. So if you love Beauty and the Beast retellings, maybe you will love it too, more than I did, and you'd be intrigued by it. I just didn't find it intriguing. I had to put it down. And the other side characters too, like I guess the main male character, or the Beast in this situation, was just so... Bleh. He was just so bland. His sidekick, Gray, I think was his name. See, I don't even remember the main character's name at this point. So the side character, Gray, was the only redeeming character who I thought had some kind of like interesting things about him and was at least moderately well developed. But other than that, I thought the book was just lacking and lazy. Maybe it gets better as it goes on. Maybe I should have given it more than a third of the book chance, but honestly, I value my time, and I know what I do enjoy, and if I didn't enjoy it at that point, and I just was just annoyed at all the characters because they were all kind of stupid and lame and naive, I'm not gonna waste my time. I don't need to rationalize myself. You know what? I just didn't enjoy it. It wasn't for me. Maybe you'd like it, but those are the reasons why I didn't like it. You feel. So those are the books I've recently read. Let me know if you've read any of the books in the comments below and your thoughts about them. Though these are just my thoughts. I'm just trying to make a conversation happen here, so make sure to comment and start a conversation below. What books have you recently read? And next video, books that will be mentioned for my recent reads are Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. What else did I recently read? Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and I'm currently working on my 3rd book to do my review on, so I look forward to those. I'll see you guys all soon. Bye now. Ronnie says bye too, I guess. Right, Ronnie?